In the introduction, we'll be covering overview of project system. Then we'll be looking at how do we initiate project, followed by what is date planning, what is cost planning and budgeting. Then we'll proceed to project execution, project monitoring and control. Then how do we settle projects and how do we close projects and what are benefits of projects. So project systems is basically, the core of all the modules and is integrated with all the modules of SAP, like FI, like SD, like MM, and other modules like PM are also integrated with PS module based on the project requirement or the type of project. So let us first have look at what actually a project is. So the definition of project goes like projects are generally complex, unique, and they involve a high degree of risk. Every project is complex in nature. Let me give you an example. Say I am having a domain experience of construction projects or infrastructure projects. So speaking in that regard, say we are constructing a real estate project in UP state of India, which is gonna take 2 years of time for construction in its entirety. And say I want to do a similar project in Jammu and Kashmir, so it might take more time in Jammu and Kashmir because it is at higher altitude. There are other degrees of risk involved in Jammu and Kashmir. There are other approvals which we might have to take from the authorities to start that project. So the real estate project in J&K and the other one in UP is unique, right? In terms of, say, geology, in terms of construction time, in terms of approval to be taken from the government authorities. And both of these projects involve high degree of risk, right? Next, projects have precise goals which are agreed on by you and the ordering party, that is client. So every project has certain goal which we have to achieve within stipulated time, which has been agreed by you and the client. These projects are limited in duration and are cost and capacity intensive. So all the projects are to be completed within the time limits that we have set forth, and there are certain capacity or the scope which we have to complete that is also predefined before we initiate the project. Projects are subject to certain quality requirements as well, which are set forth in the pre-tendering document before initiating the execution. Projects are mostly of strategic importance for the company carrying them out. So any questions on definition of project?
No, that looks good.
So in project systems or in SAP, we have three types of project. First is CAPEX project, second is OPEX project, and third is customer project. CAPEX and OPEX projects are generally internally financed projects, and customer project is generally externally financed project. So let me tell you CAPEX, what are these type of projects and how do we differentiate them? CAPEX projects are the one where the company infuses its own capital to create a product or to create an asset for themselves, right? Government is trying to build an expressway for the public, so it is infusing its own money into it. It is creating an asset for the country, right? The expressway would be used by the public, and it would be an asset for the government. So government would be infusing, government body, say NHAI, National Highways Authority of India, would be infusing its own money, high expenditure into the project to construct the asset, right? So this would be a capex project. So once that expressway is constructed, say in the span of 2 years, 3 years, so after that, the contractor who has constructed it has to maintain it, right? Has to operate it. So once this project is completed and it reaches into operation stage, where they generally collect toll from the public who use that expressway, we will call this same project as OPEX project because it is currently under operations and maintenance. So whatever defect is found in the expressway, say a crack is found in the road or any mishappening has happened on any part of the road, has to be taken care by the contractor who has constructed it in his scope to cover all the liabilities. We call all the work that is done by the contractor in OpEx stage as defect liability period, in which he has to look after all the operation and maintenance part of it. So are you clear of CapEx and OpEx project as of now?
So one question. So who manages the project for these two kinds? Is it still, say, in this example, the government has the project, like say they're using the PS system. So is this managed in the system by the government or the contractor?
It is managed by the government. Say government has appointed a team to implement SAP for this entire expressway.
Mm,
Government has appointed a separate entity who has SAP implementation experience. So
mm,
it would be the government's team which would be making entire SAP landscape for the government, implementing all the modules based on their requirements, and simultaneously they'll be coordinating with the contractor to do data entry once the SAP has gone live for this project.
okay. So
Right?
whoever is like infusing that capital and whoever is building that asset, that entity is going to be managing this in the PS system.
Right, right. That entire expressway during the construction, government wants to track the project of the project, track the physical progress, track the financial progress, track budget versus actual of the project,
Mm,
track timelines of the project. It will be completely done in SAP PS, though it
mm,
would be integrated with other modules as well. So all such financials and physical progress of the expressway would be tracked in SAP PS module. Once it has gone live, the contractor would be doing data entry in the system to use SAP PS module, and simultaneously a team at the head office of this project would be monitoring all aspects, whether they are doing things correctly or not. Of course, they'll be first doing it in development server, then quality, and then production would be handed over to the client.
mm.
So yeah, this is how it goes.
Okay, okay, got it.
So CapEx and OpEx projects are generally, as I told you, moving on to customer project. Customer project is differentiated as the projects where revenue is generated.
Mm,
So I am a owner of a developer company who constructs real estate projects. So I am constructing a real estate project in Delhi.
mm,
So once I'm done with constructing all residential units, commercial units of this building, there are 5 buildings in this project. So I start sales of this units out in the market, right? So there will be revenue generated by sales of these residential and commercial units. If you want to track revenue of this project, your project would be called as a customer project
mm,
because you're selling your residential and commercial units out in the market and generating revenue by it. So in these type of projects, you will be tracking revenue versus your planned budget versus the actuals in this project, right? Say your budget for constructing for these real estate project was 100 crores, right? For construction, it was 100 crores budget, and while we have completed this project, your actual expenditure might have gone beyond 100 crores due to certain things that might have happened, say delay in time or increase in scope of work. So say it went to 105 crores. So 100 crores was your budget. 105 crores is your actual, right?
mhm,
And while you sold all your residential and commercial units, you generated revenue of say 130 crores, right?
mm,
So in these projects, you'll be mapping your budget, actual, and revenue. While in
mm.
the above two projects, you will be mapping only budget and actual. There
Okay.
is no revenue in CapEx and OpEx.
Mm-hmm,
Giving you
mm-hmm,
one more example of customer project would be, say, Britannia is having its plant and is importing, is exporting several item of its own, biscuits and whatsoever they produce, right?
uh-huh,
So that would be also a customer project because they'll be mapping revenue of their products. Say DMart. DMart also falls into customer project. All the projects wherein revenue is involved,
mm,
wherein the client wants to map the revenue are customer projects.
mm-hmm,
Wherein in CapEx and OpEx we only map the capital that we have infused
Hmm.
and the progress that we have actually made against that capital.
Quick question. So, in that example where you have the builder building apartments and then selling them, is the building
Right.
phase of the project a capex project or is that entirely a customer project?
While the project is in its construction phase, it would be a capex,
Mm.
right? Because from the very start, it would be, practically speaking, it would be a customer project because the builder starts selling its units right from the day it has been launched,
Ah, okay,
right?
okay.
The revenue starts generating before the actual construction starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
People starts investing right before the scratch.
Mm.
So we call it as customer project practically, but
Mm.
if I say that builder is first infusing its own money till the top slab is done and then pitching out in market for the sales, then it would be first capex and then customer.
Okay, so the type of project can keep changing within the system.
Right, right. Based on the stages of the project. A
Okay,
real
so
estate project would be a customer project if the client wants to map sales of its unit. If they only want to track the construction progress with the capital infused, then it would be a capex project.
and I guess there
So
are some exceptions for this. So capex means capital expenditure,
yeah,
operational.
correct.
Okay.
CapEx is capital expenditure project.
Mm-hmm.
OpEx is operational expenditure.
Mm.
Customer
Okay.
risk.
Okay.
Moving on. So now we'll be having look at how the project flows in SAP PS. At first, we create the project structure in the system. We create a project hierarchy. So if we are looking after a real estate project, so we'll be dividing this real estate project into several work breakdown structures.
Mm.
What are work breakdown structures? I'll divide this real estate project into several activities that will happen in my project. It might start from launch of the project, then land acquisition of the project, then having approval from the government authority to start the project, then having NOCs from environmental departments, forest departments would be one such WBS. Then doing design and drawings of these buildings would be one such work breakdown structure. Then proceeding with execution, I'll create one WBS, naming it as execution of the building. Then other one would be say construction of clubhouse, construction of gym. So I'll
Mm.
be dividing entire project into several parts and I'll call it as work breakdown structure. So it
Mhm.
would be easy for me to track the project progress in parts rather than in one complete block. So I'll
Mhm.
create a project structure in the system. I'll show you on the system. You'll have better idea.
Okay.
So at first, we create project structure, a project hierarchy with the help of WBS elements. And then we do project planning, as in date planning. Once I have created all the WBSs, I'll decide what would be my start date of this WBS. Say land acquisition is the WBS which I have. So what would be my planned start date of this WBS? Say it is 1st January 2023 is my planned start and my plan finishes 28th Feb 2020. So I'll do date planning in the system for all the WBSs and activities. So this is what I call date planning. So my actuals could differ from what I have planned at the initial stages. So as I said, first Jan and 28th Feb is my plan start and plan finish. My actual could be based on the real time progress of this WBS. It would start late at 15th Jan and finish in March 15th. So that would be my actual start and actual finish of this WBS. This is what we call date planning. So these dates would be tracked on Gantt and PERT charts. I'll show you what are those while we move on to the system. Next is planning of materials required for the project. So we'll be needing n number of materials to construct this real estate project. Right? So we'll be doing procurement. For that, we have a separate module, materials management.
Mhm.
So they'll be looking after all procurement, but of course that would be integrated with PS module to consume the budget and order the things, issue purchase orders, issue PRs and all. So MM would be integrated with PS for procurement of materials that would go for construction. Next is planning of milestones. Say there are certain milestones. It is a long duration project of 3 years, so you have certain milestones in the project. Say by every 3 months, I have to complete slab of two floors or 3 floors. It is a 50 floor building. Okay, so your milestones would be set in the system, and
Mm.
once you will confirm. So as I told you that while date planning, we'll do plan start and plan finish. So once we'll do input in the system, this actual start and actual finish, your milestones would be triggered based on that. There is one WBS, construction of second floor slab, which is also your milestone. So once you will confirm that this WBS has been completed, your milestone would be automatically completed. Right.
So you mark certain WBSs as milestone relevant, or is there a special way to say something is a
Yeah,
milestone?
yeah. So while we create a WBS, we also create milestones. So
Okay.
certain WBS would have specific milestones. Construction of second floor will have one milestone.
Mm.
Construction of fourth floor, sixth floor, likewise, based on your or client's requirement,
Mm.
milestones can be created for specific WBS, not at every stage because every minute WBS cannot be a milestone. It
Hmm.
can be, but practically looking at a larger perspective of the scope, we decide based on 3 months basis what is my target and how late we are running for that or how early we are completing that
Mm.
would
Hmm.
be tracked in the system through milestones.
Okay.
Next would be cost planning. So, before starting the project, you have to do cost planning that how much capital of yours would be required to construct the project. That would be your fixed cost. So, say I have proposed to the management that 100 crores would be required for execution of this project. So, I'll send my cost planning proposal to the management and based on their experience and their evaluation of the cost plan that you have submitted, detailed cost plan, they'll arrive at some figure of their own. They might have certain different rates of materials or resources or scope of work. Based on
Mm.
that, they will check your cost plan and they'll approve the budget based on that. So,
Mm.
say they have approved budget of 95 crores.
Hmm.
So that budget would be allocated to you for executing the project. So 95 crores would not be given to you all at once. So if you are
Mm.
doing annual budgeting, there
Mm.
are two types of budgeting. Say there is one overall budgeting and there is
Mm.
annual budgeting. So in overall budgeting, the management would be giving you 95 crores all at once, and you have to use that across the entire project life. And
Mm.
there is this annual budgeting as well, wherein they'll give you 35 crores in parts as and when required, and you have to do budgeting in that way,
Mm.
in the annual way. So
Mm.
that the call of the client whether they want annual budgeting or overall budgeting. So
Or
you
the
will
or
see
would
that in
there
the
be
system.
milestone based budgeting too, like when they release funds when a milestone is reached?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Either we can do overall budgeting or annual budgeting only. So
okay, not.
say the point that you were saying was say your milestone is set at the first year of the project. So
Mm.
once that milestone is completed, then only your budget will be infused for the second year. That can be done, but do not have this option in budgeting that the option that you have is overall budgeting or annual budgeting. You do not have milestone budgeting for this.
Like in construction projects, at least as a buyer, you pay when the first floor slab is done, then progress based, right? So,
That is milestone billing.
oh, billing.
That
Okay.
is that is revenue that you are talking about,
Okay, okay,
right?
okay.
We are talking about budgeting,
Mm-hmm. Got it, got it.
the capital that would go for construction of the project, not sales of the project.
No sales. Okay, got it.
Next step would be project execution, wherein your budget is approved, right? And you have distributed this budget across all the WBSs. Once that is done, you will release the budget on all the WBS, and you will ask the MM team to start procurement and also the FI team to book their documents on the WBS. So say there's one WBS that has gone as construction of clubhouse. So team wants to procure cement for construction of clubhouse, right? So they'll create one PR, purchase requisition. They'll create purchase orders. So they want to order 1 lakh rupees of cement. So they'll be consuming your budget on this WBS. Say that your budget is 50 lakhs on this for ordering cement for the clubhouse construction. So as and when required, whenever team wants to procure cement for clubhouse, they'll be using that particular WBS for consuming the budget. Project purchase will be initiated by team. Then once they have issued the purchase order to the vendors for the cement, once that is delivered on the site, they'll issue goods receipt for cement that they have procured. That the cement is received on site. It is part of their activity, a generation of purchase requisition, purchase orders, and goods receipt. So
Mm,
once goods are received on site, those will be issued to the contractor for the use. Then invoicing will be done, and then payment to the vendor will be done. That is the part of FI team and team clear this vendor's payment. Okay.
mhm,
So the budget that will be consumed would be from WBS. So this is how and FI team are integrated with PS for consumption of budget. And
mhm,
what PS team would be monitoring would be the progress of construction of clubhouse and the money that has been gone into it till date with
mhm,
respect to budget versus actual. Actual is whatever procurement that they have done till date against 50 lakhs. Network confirmations is we'll be confirming whether this activity is completed or not in the system, giving finish date as the input. I'll show you this thing in the system. Next
mhm,
is project monitoring. We monitor project as I told you in two ways. First is physical progress, another is financial progress. So schedule monitoring is your physical progress with respect to dates, that is planned start, planned finish, and actual start, actual finish of all the WBS. We
mhm,
have Gantt and PERT charts to read the physical progress. We'll come to that as well in the details. Then next is cost monitoring. Cost monitoring would be your budget versus actual on all the WBS. So below is the flow chart as we discussed this in the top of this slide, that first we create project, then we do project planning, then we do budgeting and we release the budget, then we start executing the project, that is project implementation, and last stage is project complete. This is also a similar way of showing project life cycle. We saw project process flow. Now you'll see project life cycle.
mhm,
So at the first stage, we create project structure. As I told you, we create WBSs and networks. Then we do conceptualization of the project. Conceptualization as in to what level you want to break down your project.
mhm,
There are
mhm,
certain levels. People generally go down to sixth and seventh level of the WBS for creating a project structure. We do that conceptualization, followed by we do rough planning, rough cost planning, as in how much money would be required to construct the project. Then we do detailed cost planning, which we submit to the management for approval of budget, right? So once we have received budget from the management, we release this budget for team, PM team, and FI team to consume it. If you can see that in the fifth column, we release this budget for these teams
mhm,
work to start. Then they start issuing purchase orders. They start commitment to the vendors for procurement. Then once they have completed these construction activities, we do confirmation in the project system. This is the final date of completion of WBS, and it can be closed now. So
mhm,
this is what we call final confirmation. And once all say one WBS had budget of 5 crores and we have consumed all of it, and it is also year end, it is March 2020. So what we do, all the cost we settle it to AUC and then to fixed asset. So
mhm.
all the cost that has been booked on the WBS is settled. We have to close the records, right? For the financial generation of financial statements,
Yeah.
like we file ITR every year. So we have to do project settlement every year or every month. So all the capex and opex projects are first settled to AUC, that is asset under construction, and then to fixed asset. While customer projects are directly settled to fixed asset.
Mm.
So what is asset under construction? So for capex and opex projects, as they are long duration projects, right? So as we are constructing, say, expressway or a real estate project. So my asset is under construction for a long duration, 3 years of time.
Yeah.
So that is why we settle cost to AUC and then to fixed asset. And for the customer project, say you are, as we spoke about Britannia. So say you have sold 1,000 packets of Britannia's biscuit to some customer, and you have directly taken revenue from the customer and booked it on the WBS. That directly goes into fixed asset because once the sale is done, you got the money, you can directly set it into fixed asset, right? Because that is not a long-term deal with the customer. So in this, as the construction goes on and on for years to come. So that is why we do settlement to AUC and then to fixed asset for capex and opex.
This is nothing but tracing the costs to the actual asset. So what was spent on what?
Right, right. This is not tracing, this is settlement. This is sort of closure of this WBS. And you won't
Oh.
be using this
Uh-huh.
and you won't be using this WBS once all the cost has been settled to AUC and then to fix. You will
Mm.
technically be closing this WBS.
Mm. Okay.
So as I told you, at first we'll divide our project into WBS elements, several work breakdown structures. Then these WBS elements would be having networks. Under that, we'll be creating activities. So as I told you, we'll be dividing the project into several WBSs. So for each and every minute activity, we cannot create WBS, right? So say there is an activity of doing finishing work in some residential unit. There are thousands of residential units. So there is
Mhm.
one activity, finishing work. So in residential unit, say 1001, there is finishing work, which is an activity. So we'll create activity for smaller scope of work involved. We'll not create WBS for that. If you want to go in detail, you have to create activities after WBSS, right?
Mm.
So to
Mhm.
assign relationship to these activities, we create networks. So we'll see what type of relationships do we have for activities. There are four type of activities in SAP PS. The first one is internally processed. Second one is externally processed. Third is general cost activities. Fourth is service activities. So how do we differentiate them? Internally processed activities are those if developer of this project is using its own resources for construction of the project. Okay,
Mm.
using its own machinery, its own manpower to construct the project. Those activities will be called as internally processed activity. This developer has outsourced construction of the project to some other subcontractor. All the activities in the project structure would be externally processed activity because
Mhm.
no manpower or machinery of the developer has gone into the construction, so those would be externally processed activities.
Mhm.
Third would be general cost activities. That is, say, general cost activities are generally admin type of activities. Say you have launched the project and several people have come up to check what are the offers you are giving in the market, when are you launching this project, when do you have possession and all. So you will be doing marketing and stuff, right? So those would be general cost activities. The cost that would go into such type of events would be booked under general cost activities. Fourth is service. Say you are giving service to someone for HVAC works or for some finishing works. So you have outsourced the service to some vendor for doing certain work. So those would be called service type of activities.
Mhm.
So they won't have any scope of work. That would be directly a service. Say you have to supply all HVAC equipments. So that would be supply and fix at the site. Those
Mm.
would be service type of activity. So this is the differentiation of the four. Please let me know if there is any question. In case I'm moving a bit fast, you can
Sure. So these networks are unique to the WBSS, or the networks can be part of multiple WBSS?
So it can be either ways. You can have single network first WBS and then
Mm.
you create entire breakdown structure, or you
Mhm.
can have multiple network under each and every WBS, then have activities. Purpose and the use of both the types will be the. So we generally use a single network
Mhm.
under first WBS and then we create the project structure. Networks are generally used to define relationships to the activities. Like as I told you, there will be 50 to hundreds of WBSs and activities under that. So we have to
Mm.
define that after which activity, what activity will start. So there is
Mm.
one activity at sixth floor, and there is one activity at say second floor,
Mhm.
and third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So you have to define relationship that once my activity at fifth floor is finished, then I'll move to sixth, so that the system would be able to calculate the finish date of the project.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we'll get a bit clear once we move to the system.
Okay.
So as you told me that you have experience in this insurance side of project from
Mhm.
FI side, right? So
Mhm.
are you aware of this controlling area, company code, business area, and all these?
Yes, but not to the basics. I know they
Okay.
exist, but it was already done in the projects. I have not dealt
Okay,
with.
no problem. We'll go on to that as well. So, as you are looking at the breakdown, these WBSs have certain inputs that we have to give. As we are currently looking at the development real estate project, say the developer's name is Lodha or DLF or any such entity. So Lodha would not be having a single project in Delhi. They'll have n number of projects across India, across globe, right? Because
Mm.
those are MNC. So
Mhm.
Lodha would be my controlling area. I'm just giving you examples of what these terms are.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have controlling area would be Lodha. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
Then there's company code. What would be my company code? Say Lodha is doing one real estate project in India and one in US. So
Mm.
my company code would be 1000 for India and 2000 for US, which I'll be
Mhm.
giving to this WBS.
Mhm.
So while I'll be creating a project in SAP PS, while I create WBS, I'll be assigning controlling area is 1000, which goes for Lodha. Controlling area is 1000, that means Lodha India. Okay, if I do
Mm.
2000, that would be Lodha US, because Lodha would be monitoring all the projects in SAP PS, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's different system for all the n number of projects. It will be one for all.
Mhm.
So whenever you'll be creating WBS, you'll be assigning controlling area, company code. Company code would be country based, US, India, Germany, whatsoever. Then there
Mhm.
would be business area. In India, there are 10 projects in Delhi, 10 in UP, 10 in Karnataka. So that would
Mm.
be your business areas. Like
Okay.
say north, south, east, and west would be your business areas. Then we
Mhm.
have profit center and plant that would go for the specific real estate project in that particular state or city. So as we were in Delhi, in Gurgaon, we have this real estate project. So
Mm.
my plant would be 1000 for Gurgaon, and
Mm.
there's certain profit center code which is 8 or 10 characters long for that particular plant
Mm.
of this
Mhm.
project.
Okay.
So this is how the terminology goes for all these, and these are created by FI team in the system.
Mm.
PS module does not have organizational structure of its own. It uses organizational structure of FI module.
Mm.
These are
Mhm.
the organizational structures which are created by FI and MM team.
Mhm. Mm.
Okay, plans are created by MM team because they look after procurement and everything. The
Mm.
rest all are created by FI team.
FIT. Okay.
So
Mhm.
we directly use these and assign these to the WBS that we create.
Mm. Okay. So any cross currency or cross country like reportings and all that, that is all coming out of FI at the controlling level or controlling area level and so.
All the reports would be coming under PS only.
Mm-hmm.
While executing the report, you'll be giving an input of
Mm-hmm.
your company code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Okay.
the report would be all in general at first. Then you'll be giving, there are several filters based on which you'll be able to drive the report for a specific company code or a plant.
Okay.
So these are the terminologies that we assign to the WBS,
Mm-hmm.
which are created by FIA and MM.
Okay.
So as I told you, PS does not have organizational structure of its own. We
Mm.
use FI teams org structures to assign to the WBS.
Okay.
So this is an example of how we create a project structure. First, we'll see at the basic level, then we'll see how to do that in the system. So again, we have taken an example of residential project. At the top, we have project definition. Residential project is your project definition. Then we create WBSs. So at level one, we have three WBS. That is apartments, then townhomes, and then single family homes. So under
Mm.
this project, there are three types of units which we have categorized at level one. Now, for example and your reference, we have only further subdivided apartments into drill down only apartments only for your understanding.
Mm.
So apartments have been again divided into Blue Harbor, Indigo, and Art House. This is your level two WBS. We have went down to level two. So these are just three separate buildings under the apartment. So now Blue Harbor has been again drilled down to level three, in which there are these WBSs: living room, kitchen, patio, clubhouse, park, car parking, swimming pool. So these are your level
Mm.
three WBS under Blue Harbor. So
Mm-hmm.
similar would be there under Indigo and Art House also.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, as I told you that for every small activity we cannot create a WBS. So after level three, we have
Mm.
created activities which
Mm.
are replace carpet, replace kitchen platforms. So these are
Mm.
the activities.
So, say Blue Harbor has 100 apartments, right? So the
Okay.
third level WBS means there are 100 living rooms, 100 kitchens. Is that how this should
No,
be?
no. So
Oh.
as you told that Blue Harbor has 100 apartments, we'll create Blue Harbor 1. At level 3, we'll have Blue Harbor 1, Blue Harbor 2 till 100.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then
Okay.
under Blue Harbor one, we have will have living rooms. This living room is for each unit, each residence, or all the units in the Blue Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Mm-hmm.
as you told that there are 100 Blue Harbor units, 100 Blue Harbor buildings. So
Mm.
under that first building, there will be living room, kitchen for all the residential units inside the building.
Okay. Okay. So in this example, there is only one Blue Harbor.
Blue Harbor, correct. So while creating a project in SAP PS, we do not, we of course give names to the WBSs, but
Mm.
we identify these WBS with respect to certain IDs. We create certain short forms,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm.
Because finding these names would become difficult because people can do spelling mistakes or give extra space or they forget to give space, then it will become difficult for the system to identify the input in the screen layout, right? So
Mm.
we give certain IDs to these WBSs.
Mm.
We call it as coding mask. So we do that in configuration part, which we'll see in the system.
Mm.
If you'll see on the bottom left, a certain naming convention that we have given: R for residential projects, I for industrial, O for office, L for land and development projects. Okay,
Mm.
so for this project, say I have to give naming convention to second level WBS, that is Blue Harbor. So
Mm.
my naming ID would be R dash. We have four characters, right? So it will be BLUH at second level, then dash 001 because we just have single unit under Blue Harbor,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
We'll have these naming IDs. So for Blue Harbor, I'll have R dash BLUH dash 001.
Mm.
Okay. So as you told that there are 100 buildings, so that will go as 001, 002 up to
Mm.
100,
Mm. Okay.
right? So these will be my second level WBS naming ID. So I'll show you how do we create these IDs in the config. This ID has to be 24 character long based on SAP standard. So I'll tell you once we jump to config in the system. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, as you just saw that there are four type of activities. So we have to assign relationships to the activities. So again, there are four types of relationships to
Mm.
these activities. So first
Mm-hmm.
is finish to start relationship, and start to start relationship, and finish to finish, and start to finish. So we were into construction project. So there are two activities. First is say acquisition of land, and second is starting of construction. These are the two activities. So these two activities will have finish to start type of relationship. Like the once the first one is finished, then only the second one will start.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Once land acquisition is finished, then only you can start construction, right?
Right.
That cannot be start to start type of activity.
Mm.
That land acquisition is also going on and you are also starting
Mm.
the construction. So
Mm.
that will be SS relationship for these two. For SS type of relationship activities, okay, you have two activities, say construction of building and construction of clubhouse at a separate place. So these two would be S2S, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You can start construction of building at the same time, also clubhouse at the same time, because those are independent of each.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship that we'll give to these two would be SS type of relationship. So this is basically used by the system to arrive at finish date of the project. So say you have created entire project structure in the system,
Mm.
okay, and you have given start date of the project and duration of the activities. So you have given start date of the project and duration of these activities, and once you click on schedule, the system will automatically give you all the finish dates of the WBSN activities and end date of the project
Okay.
based on the relationship that you have assigned to these activities. Okay.
Mhm. Now, are these at the activities level or the work WBS level? These relationships are at.
These only are for activities. You have created activities under WBS, right? So
Mm-hmm.
say you have one WBS and you have two activities under those. WBS construction of the project. Under that
Mm.
you have two activities, construction of building and construction of clubhouse.
Mm.
And you have S2S relationship. Okay. So the start date of the building is 1st Jan 2023, and you have given S2S relationship, right? So the start date of clubhouse would be the same, correct?
Yeah.
Then you have given duration for construction of buildings, say 300 days, and for clubhouse, say 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, say you have given duration of 3 years for this building and 1 year for clubhouse. So, your finish date of building this activity, construction of building, would be 2025, right? March 2026, it would be based on today. Jan liya, so it would be Jan 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So these dates will roll up to the WBS automatically. So the
Mm-hmm.
start date of your activity would be your start date of the WBS, that is 1st Jan 2020. And the
Mm-hmm.
last date of either of these activities, the latest date, finish date, would be
Mm.
the last date of your WBS, finish
W.
date of your WBS.
Okay.
So this is where the relationship helps.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
S2S will help the system to identify
Mm.
that these are start to start type of relationship, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these can be parallelly started. If you'll give F2S type of relationship, then
Mm.
the construction of clubhouse will start after the building is completed.
Mm.
So your duration of this project will be 3 + 1 years, 4 years it will, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
if you'll give S2S type of relationship, it will calculate 3 years only. That because these both are parallelly
Parallel.
working, and
Mm.
right. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what the use of the relationship is.
And this cannot be done at the WBS level? Like, can you not set
No,
relationship? Okay.
no, it has to be done at activity level.
Okay.
Next is F relationship activities, finish to finish. Okay, so let us take the same example, construction of building and clubhouse. So you
Mm.
have given finish to finish type of relationship. So these both have to finish at the same time, while
Mm.
they can start at different times. So
Mm-hmm.
I can start my construction of building on 1st Jan 2023 and clubhouse on 1st Jan 2024. But
Mm.
these activities have to finish on the same day, that is 1st Jan 2026. If you will give that relationship, your finish date of these both activities will match each other. So this is
Okay.
FF.
Mm.
Similarly, we have SF. relationship, that is start to finish. So these
So
are
here,
four types.
so here first activity can only start when, or they have to, this one, the start date of the first one and the end date of the second one has to be the same.
Correct, correct.
Okay, so this is the opposite of the FS. Okay, got it.
Any questions?
Nope, this is good.
So again, we have project flow. As we discussed in the previous slides, we first create project structure, then we do cost planning of the project, then we send this cost plan to the management for approval of budget. Okay, then we release budget, we release the project for team and FI team to consume the budget and start execution of the project. Okay, then parallelly we create AUCs also, asset under construction,
Mm,
to which
mm,
we have to settle the cost that is consumed on the WBS.
mhm,
Then commitments and actual cost are booked on the WBS. Then we do final settlement. So this is the process, right?
mm,
So under
mm,
each tab, there is the activity which we do. So first we create project, then we do date planning and cost planning, right? Of all these WBSs. Then we do project controlling by creating this project structure and doing date planning and cost planning. So under cost planning, we calculate what would be the cost required for construction.
mm,
Then under budgeting, there are four types of budget. First, I told you that is overall and annual. Then under that we have four types. That is detailed budgeting, then budget supplement, budget return, and budget release.
mm,
So detailed budgeting is your annual budgeting, wherein you will be, if 100 you will be getting 33 crores in 3 of the years. Okay,
mm, mhm,
say in the first year your budget is 33 crores and you are on time on you are running before time on the project, and you have completed your work in 10 months itself, and you want to start the activities of the second year. Okay, and you are out of funds because you have completed the first year's target.
mm,
Okay,
mm,
so what you will do now, you will take supplement, budget supplement from the management. You will send a request that so and so activities are completed in the first year, please issue supplement for the second year to start the activity. So this is what we call budget supplement.
mhm,
There is a
mm.
T code, separate T code to request additional budget.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so
Mm,
say in the first year your budget was 33 crores, and you have managed to complete all the activities in the first year with 30 crores only. So the
mm,
additional 3 crores is what you will return to the management, that the savings you have done.
mm, mm,
So that's called budget return. Okay. Next is budget release. Once you receive the budget from the management, you release it through a T code for team and FI team to use it. So
mm,
once you
mm.
receive the budget, you if you haven't released it, these people won't be able to use the budget. You have
Mm.
to release through a T code
Okay.
for them to use it.
Now, at what level are the budgets at? Is it at the WBS or at the project level or
So these budgets are at WBS level.
WBS level? Okay.
As many WBS you will create, they'll all have budget for every level.
Mm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
In industry, people generally prefer to go to sixth or seventh level of the WBS.
Mm.
We can actually create WBSs up to 99th level in the system, but
Mm.
people usually go up to sixth to seventh level in the industry, because
Mm.
going to such minute level is not possible. So they track everything from sixth or seventh level.
And it is
See,
the
while we
project manager that divides the budget among to the different WBS levels.
No, see, project manager is only for the approval. So there is
Mm-hmm.
one site execution team, say Lodha, India, and in Delhi, there is a
Mm.
project. So there
Mm.
is one project system consultant under this manager working, who has
Ah.
created the project, who has
Mm.
requested the funds to the
Mm.
manager. So he'll
Mm.
just approve that
Mm-hmm.
based on the calculations that submitted. So
Oh,
there
okay,
is
okay. Initial, when you create the WBS itself, you know the amount that it will take, and that's what is
Yeah, we
released.
have done cost planning. We have done cost planning, right?
Got it, got it.
In
Okay.
it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is sent for approval. Then it gets. Then the budget is allotted based on the cost plan that you have submitted.
Oh, got it. Mm-hmm.
So after the budget is released, we create AUC for settlement, right? As I told you,
Mm-hmm.
AUCs and then commitment and actual cost. So PR for consuming the budget on WBS, team creates purchase requisitions that there is requirement of 1,000 cement bags on site. So they'll create purchase requisition for a
Mm-hmm.
specific vendor, say JSW Cement. Then once that PR is approved, they'll create purchase order that they have agreed for this quantity and this rate. Once PO is created and the material is received on site, they'll issue goods receipt note in the system. Once that is done, they'll issue the goods, they'll issue the cement to the resources on site to start the construction activity. So these four things are part of team's work. So this is just the flow which is integrated with PS and is shown in this. Next
Mm-hmm.
is final settlement from AUC to fixed asset. So once the cost is booked on WBS completely, you will settle it to AUC, then from AUC to fixed asset. Okay, from AUC to fixed asset is done by FI team. They create fixed asset in the system where this cost is settled. So see, there is in the diamond at the bottom module name is written.
Is IM inventory management or what is IM?
IM is investment management.
Oh,
That is
investment.
a separate, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This
Mm-hmm.
is a separate module.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So these activities are to be performed by FICO team of settlement from AUC to fixed asset under construction.
Okay.
This is not a module. This is just activity of
Mm.
creation of AUC.
Okay. Okay.